Hey guys, Josh here with some Batman related news. Um, Zack Snyder, who's directing the Batman vs Superman movie, Man of Steel 2, tweeted a picture the other day of the backside of the Batmobile. But it's covered by a tarp, so all you can see is like the back end. And he tweeted that with the picture that he was going to reveal something the following day. And he wow, what he tweeted was something that got me super excited. Um, Not only does it show the Batmobile, but it also shows uh, Ben Affleck or a stunt double in what I hope is going to be the final design for the Batsuit in the movie. It looks fantastic. It looks like it's almost straight from the pages of The Dark Knight Returns. I mean, I hope Frank Miller is getting some kind of royalty check, which he probably isn't, but I was just kidding. But seriously, I mean, oh, look at the bat symbol. It's humongous. I love it. I love it. At the start of DKR, he's kind of got the classic yellow, black on yellow design, and then he has to change suits because Alfred's kind of an old, like super old, and it takes him a while to mend the other suit, so he switches to this giant black bat design, and it looks fantastic. And in the comic, they say that he's always got like a big, basically bullseye on his chest, because that's where all of his like bulletproof material is, like his Kevlar or whatever he uses to stop bullets. It's all in the chest pretty much. There's not a lot of protection anywhere else, so he can move around. Well, if they don't say the move around part, but I always assumed that's what it was, like tactically. Anyways, I mean, it looks great. I love it. It's a black and white photo, so we don't know the coloring yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be black and gray, like gray in the body, and then black accents in the gloves, belt, and cowl and cape. I mean, and speaking of the gloves, look at the gloves, man. They look fantastic, and they've got kind of like, the fins, but they're not as pronounced as like in the Dark Knight trilogy, Nolan's trilogy. There was like a plot point saying like he could like fire them in the second movie. In the Dark Knight, it's like, oh, by the way, you can like fire those, and he almost like cuts Morgan Freeman with them. Like it's a plot point. In this, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be a plot point explaining why they're designed this way, but I mean, I just love how they're kind of small. And speaking of small, Ben Affleck is the opposite. I think this looks like it's a form-fitting suit, like that's all sculpted Ben Affleck underneath. And I only bring that up because there are rumors that he was apparently bulking up even before they announced that he was to play Batman. So, I mean, if that's all natural underneath, I think that look will be great. It kind of reminds me of DKR, but also the animated series where Batman was pretty much wearing like sheets, almost like expensive sheets because he's rich, but he's basically just wearing fabric. Like there's no protection in it at all. And if that's what they're going for, I mean, geez, I can't wait. Oh man, and the only thing that they seem to have changed from the DKR design is that there's no like trunks on the outside or underwear, whatever. He doesn't wear shorts on the outside. But I mean, if they had put that in, that's the only thing I would change. But that's so small compared to how amazing the overall design is. Like, and just above where the trunks would be, his belt, his utility belt looks fantastic, and it looks like it's the most practical one I've seen. It looks like you could actually have things in there, like some thermite or some smoke pellets. I don't know what else. I'm trying to think of things from Arkham Asylum that you could use. Batarangs, like you could just pull anything out of there, and I don't know. Like in the Dark Knight trilogy, in Nolan's universe, like it looks like it's barely protruding from the rest of the suit, so it looks like when a compartment pops out, because that's how they are in the movies, at least that's what I remember. Like it looks like it's coming out of Bruce because the compartment's so big and it pops out, it's not protruding enough. I don't know, I think this looks a lot better. And I like the trilogy, but I don't know. I just can't wait to see what they do with this Batman. And I mean, I have a few problems with the Nolanverse. Like Batman's voice, I mean, I got used to it, and it's not the worst they've ever done. Like I think it was George Clooney or one of them, one of the ones after Keaton. They didn't even change their voice in the suit. I hope that Batman sounds fine. He doesn't sound like a grizzly bear or something coming at you. And I hope that his portrayal of Bruce is more akin to maybe DKR, where he's kind of like almost to the point of Rorschach, but not quite as insane. Like, or Batman, I wouldn't say he's insane, just obsessed with the mission. And that's what I want to see. They haven't really had a Batman like that on screen, I think. No, because, like, in the Nolan verse, he kind of starts out like that, but then Rachel Dawes, spoilers, Rachel Dawes dies in the second movie. And then we find out that he's retired for, like, 8 years. They kind of... But, like, you know what? Batman never quits. Certainly not for that reason. If anything, losing another loved one would just push him into like the DKR Batman, where he's just obsessed with the mission because he doesn't want to see anybody else he cares for die, and at that point he doesn't care about anybody else. Maybe. No, I don't know. No, he still cares. He still loves the Bat family. But anyways, geez, that design. And I mean, if we do a close-up of the cowl itself, you can see the short ears, also taken from the DKR design, I think. And other incarnations had shorter ears too. But I mean, the way this picture is shot, the shadows, and how it frames Ben Affleck's face, it just looks great. Also, you can see it's like attached to the cape. There's no moving parts like separated, so like you can turn his neck. So it seems like we're going back to that Keaton way of turning her whole body to look, which I mean, from a practical standpoint, maybe that's not the best, but and you can see a little bit of the whatever the suit's made out of, and you can see gouges in it. But if we look at not the belt yet. If we look at the chest, you see all the gouges and how the material almost looks like it's stretching or it's just stitched funny. I don't know. But then there's gouges like where knives could have like glanced off him, or bullet impressions. Like I don't know, what is all that? There's scratches. Like maybe he fought Ra's al Ghul, and those are katana slashes. Like it looks like Batman. Like it looks like the suit's been mended in some spots where like maybe Batman was stabbed or something. Like maybe DKR, like the actual plot of DKR, maybe like the Joker stabbed Batman in his midsection right here, and he mended it roughly like himself. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm reading a lot into it, but I mean it just looks great. I think if you go to the belt again, it looks very practical. It's got like gouges in it too. It looks like. Or it could just be the picture I've got. Back to the main. I mean, the Batmobile looks cool. It looks like he's going to have rubber bullets shooting out of that thing. Like, rubber bullets, I promise. Like, yeah. When he's going to fight the mutant leaders, he says that when he's shooting them with machine guns on the Bat tank. And he says, rubber bullets, I promise. Yeah, anyways, guys, I'm getting all nostalgic for Batman here. I'm going to stop gushing now and say that when Ben Affleck, this is the last thing I'm going to say, when Ben Affleck was announced as Bruce Wayne, like Kevin Smith, I was pretty stoked because he is a fantastic actor. He just recently, I think he wrote and directed and starred in Argo. I mean, he's fresh off Argo, maybe some other things that I'm not thinking of right now, but I mean, I don't think he would be Batman for the wrong reasons and for a bad script. I mean, yeah, he was in Daredevil, and a lot of people are mad about that. I don't know, they put the blame on Ben Affleck. I think that movie needed a better script. I mean, it had the whole, like, based off Frank Miller based off the Frank Miller Daredevil thing going for it, but it didn't. It should have been more of an adaptation than just like borrowing from it. Like the Nolanverse borrowed heavily from The Long Halloween and Dark Victory minus Robin. Wow, the Robin they had, yeah, but. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. No, I'm sorry, dude. You're too old to be Robin. And the fact that his name wasn't something like Tim Drake, Jason Todd, or Dick Grayson, hell, even if his name had been Carrie Kelly or Terry McGinnis, like if you just pick one of those names or whatever Spoiler's name is. His name could have been any of those things. Or even if it was John Paul, from Nightfall, I would have been fine with that. And pick a name. Don't make his first name Robin. Are you serious? Spoilers, by the way. Sorry, guys. But, so, in that case, that kind of stunk. But the rest of the Nolanverse borrowed so heavily from Long Halloween. But, while having changes and whatnot, and, borrowing from No Man's Land, too. But, it was pretty original. Like, they just borrowed ideas. You know what I mean? And it worked out, but in Daredevil, I think they borrowed too loosely. Like, they adapted too loosely. They should have tightened it up a bit. And I think that movie would have been a lot better. Mind you, I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe if I watch it now with fresh eyes, I might give it a pass. But the point is, that was a bad script. I think Ben Affleck as Batman with a good script is going to be fantastic. And I have total faith in Ben Affleck. He's doing it fresh off Argo. That's my thing. Fresh off Argo, which was a huge hit, huge success for him. Why would he throw his name in the mud with a shitty Batman versus Superman script? I don't know. And the fact that they're going for the whole DKR thing, even when they announced it, they had the whole thing, the whole monologue from DKR, and I don't know it exactly, but it's like, some like a remember Clark, and so on. Like, remember, I could have went just a little bit farther and killed you, but I didn't. Remember, a man beat you and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? The fact that they're going for that whole DKR relationship between Batman and Superman, where it's kind of like they're friends at one time. In the movie, they're just meeting, but, I mean, they were friends at one time. But, I mean, it was tentative at best, you know what I mean? And then they eventually culminate in this fight as old men. And you'd think Superman has the advantage, but Batman has a plan for every possibility, If they go for that Batman, that Dark Knight, who's actually a detective, you know what I mean? Nolanverse, Batman, he's not stupid, but, he didn't, I don't know, like, he's not a he's not a detective. He's just, there's barely anything of him being a detective, and half the time, Alfred's got some kind of like monologue about blood diamonds and wherever, and they burn down a whole forest committing war crimes, and somehow that relates to what's going on. And the size of a tangerine, that too, stuff like that, helping out with Batman, giving him advice. Not that like Alfred shouldn't, but Batman seems to always get on the right track after Alfred talks to him. He doesn't solve a groovy mystery, like, you know what I mean. There's no corpse, like, who killed the creeper? Somebody killed the creeper, and there's one clue, like a green tuft of hair. Well, it's the Joker. Well, like, he wouldn't have known if he hadn't found like some laughing gas victims, or I don't know, like something. Blood spatter where he has to analyze somebody's blood because it's not the victims, something like that. I don't know, guys, I'm rambling now. I'm so glad Ben Affleck. Yeah. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, if you like me rambling about how excited I am about Ben Affleck as Batman and how the suit looks, if you like this video, please subscribe, like it, leave a positive or negative comment down below, and we'll see you next Bat video, guys. Same bat time, same bat channel.